days. And an overlooked treasure, hidden among 75 years of crime photos, art.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight Sunday.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Carol Simpson. In Moscow, a rescue operation meant to free hundreds of hostages 2 days ago continues to claim lives. The siege ended when Russian special forces pumped an unidentified gas into a theater seized by Chechen rebels. Since then, at least 117 of the hostages have died. More than 600 others remain hospitalized. At least one American is among them. Today, officials said it was the gas that killed all but one of the hostages who died. Tonight, a spokesman for President Bush urged others not to rush to judgment. ABC's Bill Blakemore has more from Moscow.
Russian officials now admit almost all the hostages who died were killed by the gas used to incapacitate the Chechen terrorists. Rescuers laid out hostages at the theater door, but many did not wake up and were sent still unconscious on buses to hospitals. There, doctors complained the government refused to tell what kind of gas it was or how to treat for it. The gas must not be explained publicly, this counterterrorism officer insisted to us, because terrorists might start using it. Small comfort for hundreds of relatives still kept waiting outside Moscow hospitals after 2 days.
There were hostages there, and the hostages now here because no one understands why they're holding them like that.
There's much confusion. Dozens are still reported missing. I've lost my son. I don't know if he's dead or alive, says this woman. I can't find him. Russian special forces say the gas kept the terrorists from setting off bombs planted among the hostages and thus saved many hundreds of lives. They say they had to shoot gassed and unconscious women terrorists in their seats among the hostages because otherwise they might wake up and trigger the explosives strapped to their bodies. Russian President Vladimir Putin visited survivors and said on national television, "We could not save everyone. Please forgive us." He also insisted, "We shall win this fight against international terrorism."
From the start, Putin has implied that this Chechen attack was planned by international Muslim extremists. U.S. intelligence sources say that no link to al-Qaeda has been found.
Tonight, some family reunions have begun. And Putin is so far winning praise for ending the siege, given how many more might have died. But if publicity for the Chechen cause of independence from Russia was all these terrorists wanted, then they too could claim a measure of success. Bill Blakemore, ABC News, Moscow.
What kind of gas was it that may have been used in the raid on the Moscow theater? We talked earlier to Kyle Olson, an ABC News consultant on biochemical warfare.
Our best guess is that it was something like a chemical called BZ. It's a chemical weapon that was designed not to kill, but actually to incapacitate enemies.
A lot of the hostages died, and they blame it on the gas. Does that surprise you?
Well, this gas was never intended for use against people in confined spaces, like in a theater. This was designed for use on the battlefield, in open air. And so it's entirely possible that the Russians, if they chose to use a chemical like this, may not have fully calculated the effects against that audience.
Does the United States have such gas?
We experimented with BZ in the 50s and 60s. We even weaponized some of it for a while, but we don't have any significant quantities. In fact, both Russia and the United States are committed by treaty to destroying their stocks of chemicals like BZ as well as nerve agents and others.
Is it a violation of international law that Russia used this gas?
Well, the Russians are very, very specifically not stating what the gas was. If it was BZ, though, yes, they are in violation.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kyle Olson, ABC consultant on biochemical warfare.
My pleasure.
Turning to domestic news, it was a weekend of mourning in Minnesota following the death of Senator Paul Wellstone. With the midterm elections just 8 days away, state Democrats are scrambling to find a replacement. Today, Wellstone's family urged former Senator and Vice President Walter Mondale to run. More from ABC's John Cochran in St. Paul.
Investigators worked amid the wreckage today after family members spent private time here, leaving behind mementos. The plane had no flight data recorder, so investigators have relied on witnesses and radar, which showed the plane making a turn away from the nearby airport.
We don't know why the turn was occurring. That's what we hope to find out.
At the Minnesota Vikings game this afternoon, a moment of silence for Senator Wellstone and 7 others who died with him. With the state still recovering from the tragedy, there is little interest here in the other big game, politics.
We've lost something very, very important, and Paul was so unique.
As a show of respect, some Wellstone supporters wanted his name to remain on the ballot, but Minnesota law forbids that. So Democratic leaders will meet on Wednesday to choose a new nominee, expected to be 74-year-old Walter Mondale.
The other day, Paul and I were talking on the telephone, and we were talking politics.
Here in Minnesota, Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle talked to Mondale about entering the race. The state Democratic chairman said Wellstone's family endorses Mondale.
The Wellstone sons met with the vice president yesterday to ask him to consider replacing their father on the ballot.
If Mondale accepts the nomination, he would face Republican Norm Coleman, who said,
Walter Mondale's a good man.
But a state party spokesman was not so generous, saying, the voters will have a decision between the past and the future. Walter Mondale is clearly the past. Do you think Walter Mondale represents the past?
Walter Mondale is very much a part of our present.
A lot of Minnesota Democrats agree. Sources here tell ABC News they already have polls showing that Mondale's name recognition, combined with a sympathy vote for Paul Wellstone, would give him a clear advantage in the election. John Cochran, ABC News, St. Paul.
That brings us to the political note. Are Minnesota Democrats correct that Walter Mondale, as the candidate, gives them an advantage? We're going to ask our political director, Mark Halperin. Mark?
Carol, Minnesota Democrats are pretty certain they found their candidate, Walter Mondale, very well known, pretty popular in Minnesota. But the Republicans in that state are not going to sit back. This is an important Senate seat. You saw in John Cochran's piece, Republicans are prepared to criticize Walter Mondale. Now, the memorial service for Senator Wellstone and the others who were killed is not until Tuesday night. I think things will be on hold until then for the most part. But after that, expect 6 days of very strange, very unpredictable politics there. Right now, Democrats a little bit more confident if Walter Mondale is their candidate. Republicans, though, by no means giving up on winning this important seat.
Now, of course, we know it's having a big impact on the race in Minnesota with Paul Wellstone's death. What effect is it having on any of the other races around the country?
We've checked with consultants all over the country, Democrats and Republicans. It's a big emotional issue in Minnesota, but no effect we see right now in these other very close races.
Thank you very much. ABC's political director, Mark Halperin. In other national news, an Oklahoma teenager shot 4 neighbors, then went on a 20-mile shooting rampage that left 2 people dead and at least 7 injured. Police say the 18-year-old suspect apparently became upset when a neighbor complained about his driving. Now to the shooting spree that has captivated the nation. 3 states are vying to be the first to prosecute the 2 Washington area sniper suspects. Maryland prosecutors have already filed charges, and in Michigan today, the co-owner of a car linked to the suspects appeared in court. More from ABC's Barry Serafin.
Appearing before a federal magistrate in Flint, Michigan, 26-year-old Nathaniel Osborne waived his right to a hearing and agreed to be transferred to federal custody in Maryland.
They want to take him back. I expect he'll cooperate with authorities back there, and I would hope he'd be released shortly.
Osborne, a Jamaican citizen, is considered a material witness in the sniper case. Last month, he and suspect John Muhammad bought the blue Chevrolet Caprice, in which Muhammad was captured along with John Lee Malveaux. In Tacoma, Washington, investigators searching this gun store have been unable to learn how the rifle used in the shootings was obtained by Muhammad. The weapon, a Bushmaster XM15 like this one, arrived at the gun shop in June, but there is no record of its sale. While the investigation continues, prosecutors from 8 different jurisdictions are battling over who will take the suspects to trial. Today, State's Attorney Douglas Gansler defended his decision to file murder charges in Maryland's Montgomery County.
It's the epicenter of this investigation and these crimes, and we feel that that's where the most appropriate place to prosecute the case. We also have the best evidence.
But Virginia officials point out that even if convicted, the 17-year-old Malveaux would not face the death penalty in Maryland.
You know, we have the death penalty for both parties. We can try this juvenile as an adult and subject him to the death penalty.
Malveaux and Muhammad are both in federal custody, so the next step could be up to the Attorney General.
And it may be that John Ashcroft and his personnel really become the brokers.
The Attorney General will be back from an overseas trip tomorrow when 3 Virginia counties are expected to file charges, and federal charges could follow later this week. Barry Seraphin, ABC News, Washington.
Still ahead on World News Tonight this Sunday, girding for battle, an expected showdown at the UN over Iraq. America at risk, a warning that the nation is still vulnerable to attack. And the crime scene as art, a city's history told through thousands of police photos.
This is World News Tonight Sunday, brought to you by GMC.
Don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-what, 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 do-what.
Thanks for saving the spot, boys.
Looks like heartburn.
Wait, look, they don't just have heartburn.
They also have gas.
No.
They need me. Maalox Max. Fast heartburn plus gas relief.
Thanks, Max.
Maalox Max. When you have it all, treat it all.
These things are amazing.
Introducing Saran disposable cutting sheets.
No more worrying about juicy, germy messes on my kitchen counters, in my restaurant, or at home.
New from Saran, they're the first absorbent disposable cutting sheets.
Look, cut right on them. They soak up the juicy, germy mess, then just toss the whole thing. No kitchen is complete without these.
New disposable cutting sheets from Saran.
They cut out the mess.
SC Johnson, a family company.
Can't sleep? Why take a PM with an extra medicine if you don't have a backache or headache? Unisom Sleep Gels has the same amount of the same ingredient to help you fall asleep with no extra medicine. Unisom, it's all you need.
Now, the same Caltrate that helps fight bone loss may help your colon, too. In a recent study, Caltrate helped reduce the risk of recurrence of colon polyps, a risk factor for colon cancer. The same Caltrate you take for your bones, now for colon health, too.
Staying regular can be an endless cycle of thick powder fiber drinks.
Try a refreshing change. Pure, natural water with FiberCon caplets.
Just as effective as powders and much easier to take.
FiberCon, refreshingly easier to take.
President Bush got a show of support this weekend at a summit of Pacific Rim leaders in Mexico. 21 nations issued a statement calling on North Korea to abandon its nuclear weapons program. They also united behind U.S. anti-terrorism proposals. But many of the leaders are rejecting Bush's tough approach to Iraq. Joining us now from Phoenix, where the president is campaigning, is White House correspondent Terry Moran. Terry, there could be a showdown at the United Nations over the U.S. resolution on Iraq. What can we expect?
Carol, U.S. officials are increasingly pessimistic about the chances that they can line up enough support on the Security Council to pass that U.S. version of an Iraq resolution. And while in Mexico this weekend with APEC leaders, the president failed to get the public assurances of either President Fox of Mexico or President Zhang of China, who have two crucial votes on the Security Council, that they would back the U.S. It's clear after 6 weeks of intense diplomacy, Mr. Bush's patience is running out. There will be a vote this week, and U.S. officials say their proposal could well fail.
And if it does fail, Terry, and the United States is forced to go it alone against Iraq, what will happen next?
Well, President Bush has said repeatedly he will lead a coalition of nations outside the UN to disarm Iraq, but outside Britain, very few nations have committed publicly to do that. And now France says if the U.S. version fails, it will introduce its own resolution on Iraq. And that sets up the prospect that the UN could be working on getting weapons inspectors into Iraq, while the U.S. and perhaps other countries are preparing to attack it.
Thank you very much. ABC's Terry Moran with the president in Phoenix. The White House and Congress are also coming under fire on the issue of homeland security. A task force led by former Senators Gary Hart and Warren Rudman is criticizing the government for not doing enough to protect against further terrorist attacks. ABC's Tamala Edwards reports from Washington.
Nearly 2 years after they first warned the nation of the likelihood of a terrorist attack, the two former senators said today America is still unprepared to stop or react to another attack.
This country is unacceptably vulnerable. The president needs to focus the attention of all Americans on those vulnerabilities.
I would hope the president would tell the American people and the Congress this nation is at substantial risk.
Their task force, organized by the Council on Foreign Relations, predicts the next attack will result in even greater casualties and widespread disruption to American lives and the economy. According to the report, few ships, trains, and trucks that enter the U.S. are searched. Police and firefighters lack the protective gear to fight a chemical or biological attack, and emergency radio and computer systems across the country cannot communicate.
We ought to spend whatever it takes, and however we have to get that money, we ought to get it. The states are in dire financial shape.
Some state and local officials say they do not have the money to prepare their communities without federal help.
We continually have conversation, continually hear promises, but nothing's coming to the cities of America. And all the mayors of America are frustrated right now on this issue.
The White House says the report is out of date and misses how much Homeland Security has improved. Tamala Edwards, ABC News, the White House.
In tonight's overseas briefing, a Palestinian suicide bomber attacked a Jewish settlement in the West Bank. 3 Israeli soldiers were killed and at least 18 people were hurt. Also on the West Bank, in Nablus, Israeli troops shot and killed 2 armed Palestinians. In northern Europe, a powerful storm with winds gusting up over 90 miles an hour killed at least 18 people. Trees were uprooted and a passenger ferry was blown into a British frigate. In Sicily, Mount Etna awakened again, spewing lava and ash. Nearby communities have been evacuated as a precaution. Its last major eruption was in 1992. And when we come back, a city's history seen from an unusual angle.
If you have diabetes, you've probably handled thousands of test strips. But no more, thanks to the Accu-Check Compact Meter. Just drop in a drum containing 17 test strips. Press the button and you're ready. 17 consecutive tests and no handling strips. What could be clearer? The Accu-Check Compact Meter. Look for the one with the drum.
America's always had heroes. That's just the way we are. You can find them on the Potomac. You can find them in Cooperstown. You can find them almost anywhere. Now might be a nice time to pack up the family and go search out a few heroes of your own. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo Country, and with values like this, they're easy to explore. Alamo, the official rental car of the American vacation.
I have 3 boys. I've always tried to do what's best for them, for their health. And One A Day has helped. It still does. Especially now that I know 1 in 3 men face prostate problems.
Introducing One A Day Men's Health Formula, a new way to help beat those odds. It's a complete multivitamin with 21 nutrients, plus lycopene, which Harvard studies have linked to prostate health.
Sure, 1 in 3 men face prostate problems, but hopefully not one of my 3.
New One A Day Men's, the multivitamin with more for your health.
Marie Callender began every recipe the same way, with care, and her chicken pot pie was no exception. Marie used big tender chunks of juicy white meat chicken, farm-fresh vegetables, and a golden flaky crust she always made from scratch. Marie Callender put her heart into everything she made. And to this day, we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie has a delicious golden flaky crust that's still made from scratch in your grocer's freezer. Made with the care of Marie.
This holiday season, working late in the dark. Your friends were all busy decorating 2 parks. Such beauty was hung through the evening with care for you and your family together to share. So gather your loved ones and head for our house. All our creatures are stirring, especially the mouse. Come share the holiday magic at the Disneyland Resort.
In some sports news, Dallas Cowboys running back Emmitt Smith broke the late Walter Payton's career rushing record today with an 11-yard run. By the end of the game, Smith had eclipsed the mark by 17 yards, bringing his career total to 16,743 yards. The late Chicago Bears player's record has stood since 1987. For weeks, we've been focusing on the Washington area sniper shootings and the crime scenes left behind. Every day, police photographers are sent to thousands of crime scenes all across the country. Their pictures are rarely seen by the public, but in Los Angeles, that is about to change. Here's ABC's Brian Rooney.
The crime scene picture is the basic stuff of police work, and most of them are never seen. As he took pictures for the Los Angeles Police Department, Rick Morton began to ask what happened to all the pictures taken by police photographers for 75 years before him.
I thought that I would be sent to some office and there would be 2 or 3 file cabinets there and I could just look through some things and find something.
What he found instead were police archives stacked to a warehouse ceiling, and inside, sometimes buried in old case files, hundreds of thousands of photographs. Morton, his wife, who owns a gallery, and Police Lieutenant John Thomas
this is nice.
have looked at 20,000 of them.
You're taking negatives out of sleeves that hadn't been touched in over 70 years.
They found history, the aftermath of the Watts riots, and booking photos of Charles Manson, image builders, a friendly officer helping out a woman and her daughter, the accidentally humorous, motorcycle officers lined up for donuts, and the first generation of women police officers. They call this shot Girls with Guns. But the most surprising thing they found was art, pictures that were more than just evidence shots.
If by art you mean something that touches you, that gives you insight, that can make you laugh, that can bring a tear to your eye, that can inspire, then by that measure these pictures are indeed art.
A local museum curator helped pick the best shots for a display that will eventually tour the country.
They're about stories, histories, and it's perfect that it's in Los Angeles, these cinematic, sometimes operatic histories.
LA's most famous murder, the body of Elizabeth Short, known as the Black Dahlia, left dismembered in a vacant lot.
It's almost as if that's the establishing shot, the shot from which you then dolly in to begin the story.
2 men shot dead as they ate spaghetti.
They had eaten there the night before and came back a second night and asked for the same seats and the same meal, everything exactly the same.
A man killed on the front stoop.
You see a shadow and a very faint silhouette of a young girl standing in the window looking through the curtain, and then under her you see a child's face peeking over the stoop.
A bullet-riddled car.
There's a young boy through the window that's framed absolutely from the neck up, beautifully framed in that bullet-ridden window.
There's Thelma Todd, the silent film star, dead in her car. A man posed as a murder victim, a training shot for detectives. A cop who was a crack shot. What else do you think is still in there?
I think there's hundreds of thousands of images that I would love to look through, and I think there's treasures in there.
Treasures that were never lost, but still need to be found. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Los Angeles.
And we'll be back in a moment.
Bad energy or bad allergies? When seasonal allergies drain you of your energy, Allegra can help.
Only Allegra has fexofenadine, so unlike many other antihistamines, it won't make you drowsy. And Allegra gives you 24-hour relief. For people 12 and older, side effects are low and may include headache, cold, or back pain. Get back in balance. Talk to your doctor about switching to Allegra. Once daily Allegra. Real relief for real living.
Mom takes Metamucil. I never will.
That's what you think.
I found a better way to take my fiber. Benefiber. Unlike Metamucil, it won't get thick and gritty. It's taste-free, too. Mom can have her Metamucil.
That's what you think.
Benefiber makes taking fiber easier.
You can't stop pain from happening, but you can stop it from hurting with the Icy Hot Patch. Concentrated pain relief that's icy first to dull the pain, then hot to relax pain away for hours of relief.
It's fantastic how long it works.
We'll see you in the morning, sweetie.
You, in the mood?
Always. Introducing Pillsbury's biggest cookie ever. New Big Deluxe Classics. 2 kinds of chocolate, 1 big cookie. With luscious, semi-sweet morsels and gooey milk chocolate chips, you just have to give in.
Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing. New Big Deluxe Classics from Pillsbury. Go on, give in.
My heart to yours.
Next time you're on the road and you need to fill your tank, here's something to consider. New Shell gasoline is specially formulated to help prevent deposit buildup in your engine, which helps keep it clean. And a clean engine performs better, which is why when they're looking for more from their gasoline, so many drivers choose Shell.
Imagine combining the stain-fighting power of Efferdent and freshening power of Listerine. You'd get Efferdent Plus. It's extra fresh, and nothing gets your dentures cleaner. Efferdent Clean, Listerine Fresh. That's Efferdent Plus.
Heartburn can be brought on by stress or food. For fast relief, get Zantac 75. Zantac quickly blocks the strongest acid trigger for heartburn relief that's gentle anytime. Zantac, the shape of fast heartburn relief anytime.
One of their own cut down in cold blood.
I'm looking for a cop killer.
I'm doing to find the shooter.
Our only witness is gone, Lieutenant. Gone!
This detective will risk more than his career. And God knows where he'll stop.
If I get gunned down in the street, you'll take care of the deal.
NYPD Blue, ABC Tuesday, 10/9 Central. Viewer discretion advised.
Finally tonight, a brief review of our main story. In Moscow, officials say all but one of the 117 hostages who died at a Moscow theater were killed by a secret gas used to end the siege. More than 640 other hostages remain hospitalized tonight, many of them in critical condition. Officials so far have refused to identify the gas used in the rescue operation. Tonight, a spokesman for President Bush said that not all of the facts are known and blamed the deaths on the Chechen rebels. And that's our report. I'm Carol Simpson. For all of us here at ABC News, have a good week and good night.
This week on World News Tonight, the road to war, what will happen and when, the special series on Iraq begins, and the multi-million-dollar scam cheating women this week.
A four-legged